That's us. Timer. Thank you, timer. Okay. So, like I said before, you never know what you're gonna get. Did we do as good? Did we do better? Did something weird happen? You never know. That's a pretty good result. Not bad. Different ear. Certainly we've got like kind of a different texture on the surface of the crust, but that's a nice result. So, you know, this won't get much darker. That'll be about as dark as that gets. We're going back in the oven. Get some color on this guy. And when it is done coloring, I'll pull it out and I'll cool it. And when it's cool, then we'll cut them up. We'll cut them in half. We'll take a look at what they look like on the inside. Cooling, this is a really important step. And this is where you can really fall down on your face. Your bread has to cool for 2 hours. I know. Don't worry, it's still gonna be warm inside. But if you cut into it now, and it's really tempting because as this is baking, you can smell the amazing smell of the bread. And it just fills your house, it fills the neighborhood. Everybody knows when I'm baking in the neighborhood. But if you cut into it now while it's fresh out of the oven, like inside the first hour, it's full of hot air, it's full of steam. And if you cut it open, it's gonna release all that steam and it's gonna completely dry out. All of your time and effort here will be completely wasted. So resist the urge. Your family's gonna try and trick you. They're gonna say, just cut it open, it'll be fine. Don't do it, it's a trap. I said 2 hours. And hopefully you'll make it an hour and a half. You can get away with an hour and a half. An hour, you're kind of cutting it close. You do risk really destroying your loaf of bread if you cut into it after an hour. I wouldn't fault you for doing it. It's less digestible in that first hour anyway, so it's gonna kind of sit in your stomach like a rock, no matter how fermented it is. Hot, baked, fresh bread needs some time to chill out and cool off. So I recommend 2 hours, at least an hour though. You gotta wait an hour. So we'll catch up when that one's done, getting all prettied up and browned up, and we'll take a look at what they look like inside. Okay, so it's been 2 hours for this guy and like more like an hour and a half for this one. But let's cut them open and take a look at the crumb. The crumb is the interior texture of the bread. So bread knife. Bread knife's kind of an important tool, but it can be kind of a cheap one. I wouldn't recommend buying anything expensive like I might if you were buying a chef knife and you knew how to sharpen it. This is a 14-inch bread knife. This thing's really big, but I want it to be really big so I can easily saw across, you know, whatever bread that I bake. And what kind of tool is this? It is a saw. So we're going to use a sawing motion. Downward pressure is not your friend. We don't want to squish our bread. So light, gentle pressure and a sawing motion. Now, one of these is gonna go onto this tray. I'm gonna slice it, it's gonna go in the oven. I'm gonna get it extra crispy, nice and warm inside. It's coming to the table. I've got some steaks resting. It's dinner time for me right now. If I were just doing that for me, I'd probably cut it this way. Because then when I stand this side up, so I cut it in half, stand this up, then I have like all this crispy edge that you get in every single slice on this side. But that would look weird right now, so I'm not gonna do it. But if you were going to slice an oval like this and then toast it up and bring it to the table, I'd cut it this way, along the ear. Okay, sawing motion, light pressure. Should be crusty, should be kind of a mess to cut. That is a pretty crumb. It is soft. It is crispy. Let's take a look at this one. Should be the same. And sometimes, you know, just kind of hold, you know, if you are going to cut it this direction, like kind of hold the ear in place so you don't, you know, break it. Let the blade do the work. I'll put a link to that bread knife in the description. It's not an expensive bread knife. So there we go, side by side. This is what our 2 loaves of bread look like. They smell great. They don't smell particularly sour, but I wouldn't expect them to because this starter is brand new. But that's like a really nice, light, fluffy crumb. We've got, you know, really nice crust here. Excellent result. So if you can produce this, you're doing a really good job. And, you know, just get more reps. Just keep making bread. Make 2, give 1 away, or just eat lots of bread. It's fine. And you'll get better at mastering this skill with the more loaves that you make. Okay, so I'm going to slice this one up. This guy, he can go over here. And I'll wrap that in parchment paper. I'll put it in a container. I'll cover it with plastic wrap. Parchment paper helps kind of keep it dry and fresh longer. I'm at altitude in kind of a somewhat arid environment, so bread does not get stale here for a long time. We used to live at the beach, and man, bread would be stale within like a day or 2. It's crazy, the humidity and the moisture. Okay, so we're making slices. Sawing motion. If you let the blade do the work, it's easy. And you know, it's up to you. Whatever thickness, you know, you're the chef. Whatever thickness you want. There's 4 of us. A 400-gram little loaf of bread here is always about the right size for 4 of us for dinner. This one's a little bit warm, a little bit warmer than I wanted to, but it's dinner time. I got other stuff to do. And you can see like how when it is warm, it does kind of not cooperate when you slice it, but we're good. And then I'm going to just reorganize them a little bit. And they're going on the tray. And this guy. Okay, these are going in the oven. I've got my oven set to 375. They're gonna get toasted up while I'm doing other things. Look at this mess I made. That is a good sign. That is a crispy crust. So your bread should make a mess when you cut it if you've got a nice crispy crust. So there you go, that's it. I'm gonna toast those up. I'm gonna get some color on them, maybe just a little bit more, get them a little bit more caramelized, and then they're going to the table. And it's dinner time. So I'll see you next time.